Making a tutorial is much harder than I thought it would be. Lovely. Hey, my name is Dylan, and welcome to the Collective Movements. Today we're gonna be learning how to backflip. To start, you wanna have your arms right out in front of you. You're gonna pull them as far back as they can go behind you. Just a small quarter squat. You're gonna swing your arms all the way up, making sure that you're not arching your back, making sure that your biceps are going past your ears. You fully extend through your toes, knees, and hips, while keeping your chin down and your eyes forward. Bringing your knees up to your arms, not your arms down to your knees. If you bring your arms down to your knees, it's gonna slow down your flip. And one of the last steps is to make sure you spot the floor. You wanna see where you're landing. Make sure you are actively pushing your toes to the floor. A few common issues that people tend to have when doing their backflip is they throw their head back. You absolutely want to make sure you do not throw your head back. If you look at the slow-mo right here, you'll see that I'm actually keeping my chin down until my butt comes through and passes over where I'm looking, and then it forces my head to look away. How do we fix it? Is to bite your t-shirt. Now this doesn't always work. It's just a t-shirt, so it's not gonna force you to keep your chin down. If you have a phone on you and you care about it a lot, a good way is to take your phone and stick it underneath your chin and really press your chin into your chest so you get used to keeping that chin down. The second common thing is the timing of your arms and your legs. Some people have their chin down and they do a lot of the things right, but the way that they time their arm swing with their jump is incorrect. You want your arms to be pointing upwards as you're fully extending through the legs. Go ahead and take your phone and prop it up somewhere. It doesn't matter if you have any fancy equipment, as long as you can push pause and push play on your phone. That is what we want. The reason that you want to do this is you can actually take your phone and see if your timing of your backflip matches mine. And if it does, your timing's probably pretty good. And if it doesn't, then we have a little bit of work to do, and that's okay. The third most common thing that I tend to see is opening up your tuck a little bit too early. It's gonna cause you to land a little bit leaning forward or with your chest down in a squat position, and you are more likely to put your hands down because you're opening up early. Wait until you see the floor before you open up. If you don't see the floor, don't let go of your tuck. And if you don't see the floor at all, open your eyes. The fourth most common thing we've already kind of touched on a little bit, which is your back arching. You don't want to arch your back or push your hips forward. And I know it kind of seems like they're almost the same thing, but there are slight differences. If you push your hips forward too much, then you're gonna actually do what's called a gainer. That's not what we're trying to learn today. If you arch your back, it cuts your height out just a little bit, so you're not gonna be able to jump as high, so you have to flip faster, and it's not gonna be as pretty as we would like it to be. Fixing that arch in your back. Now, it's gonna take a little bit of ab muscle, and that's okay. If you're not strong enough to do this, get stronger. You wanna squeeze, you wanna kind of suck your stomach in. Keep them there, and that's how you wanna keep those ribs in. That's how you wanna fix your back arch. If you're busy sucking your stomach in one way, it's kind of hard to push it out the other way. The fifth thing is not fully jumping. Pushing through your ankles, pushing through your knees, and making sure your hips are underneath you is gonna be allowing you to fully jump. If your knees are bent or if you don't push through your toes fully, you're not jumping to your best ability. And really study to make sure that you're fully pushing through your knees, through your toes, and your hips are underneath your belly button. A good way to test this is to set a high point and kind of like a basketball hoop or something. Try to touch the top of your roof. And pay attention to what your body is doing when you're doing that, when you're jumping as high as you can, when you have your goal set higher. Pay attention to how your knees feel, how your ankles feel, and what you're doing with your glutes and your hips, because that same exact thing is gonna transfer over to when you do your backflip. You wanna make sure those same muscles are firing. 6, we've already touched on, which is pushing your hips forward. You don't wanna push your hips forward because it's gonna cause you to do a gainer. That's not what we're after. Lay down, put your hands above your head, and pull your knees up to your armpits, and try to pick your butt and your tailbone up off the floor without using your arms, just your abs. 7 is asymmetrical arm swing. One arm is actually moving faster than the other. So by the time you set and you jump fully, you're actually a little bit off axis and you're turned and you're no longer in a straight up and down backflip. You're a little over the shoulder. That's gonna cause a ton of problems down the line. You really wanna make sure that as you do your arm swings, they come all the way back, extend all the way up, both biceps past your ears at the same time. That's what's gonna give you the best height and the best jump and the best flip for your backflip. All right, so now that we've gotten all of the theory out of the way of how to do your backflip, you know how to jump properly, you know how to set properly, let's get into the actual practical ways of starting your backflip. One is just the good old-fashioned find a mattress and huck it. While that does work, there are several examples on YouTube of how to do this where people are just banging their head against the wall. It does get results if you aren't afraid. You can also use a pull, you can use a trampoline. All of the same techniques still work in those same areas. The other thing to do, and my personal favorite and the safest way to do, is to have a partner. Have somebody that wants to learn how to backflip with you, or even just someone who's willing to help you, and have them watch this tutorial with you or tell them how to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the practical aspect. You're gonna grab your partner by the hips. The first thing that you're gonna wanna have them do is you're gonna have them start with their arms forward, and then they're going to do the squat. They're gonna run through all of the same motions that we just talked about. The arms are gonna come all the way back. They're gonna jump, arms go past their ears. They're gonna pull their toes up in a straight hollow body. 2, 1. The second step is to have them bring their knees up to their chest while keeping their arms in the exact same position right by their ears. 3, 2, 1. So the goal with this one is to actually make them fight down your hips. So when you have their hands on their hips and they bring their knees up, you want to have to actually pull them back to prevent them from flipping over you. Once you get to that stage and they're starting to flip too much, then it's time to move to the next stage, which is doing the flip. What I like to do is I go from this position to having my forearm on their lower back. And what this allows me to do is it still allows me to keep control of their hip, so I can either flip them or pull them back down. But it still gives them enough stability to be able to feel comfortable enough to do the flip. 3, 2, 1. The next step is to move your hand from here to the middle of their back. Now what you're gonna wanna do with this is you're actually gonna wanna wrap their t-shirt and then ball it up. This way you can still keep control of them. 3, 2, 1. Woo! You wanna do that one again?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. From there, the next step is to let go of that ball, and you're gonna gradually move away from the person. So instead of being here on their lower back, you're gonna be here until you're comfortable enough to do it on your own. Can you see the floor when you flip?
I think my eyes are closed, but
I
can't.
Open your eyes!
I feel like I'm like blinking, but the blink's just long.
You know what that means? It means you're closing your eyes, Kennedy. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. A few last minute pieces of advice. At some point, you really just have to go for it. You gotta make sure that if your spotter's there and your spotter tells you that you've been doing a good job, now take that with a grain of salt because they may not know what they're doing. If they're a coach, then if they tell you that you're doing a good job, then do it. But if they're just learning with you and they're saying that you might do a good job, keep in mind that you may still fall, and falling's okay, it's gonna hurt, but ultimately you'll be fine. No matter what happens, make sure you hang on to your tuck. I don't care how scared you get, hang on to your tuck. When in doubt, tuck it out. Your body's gonna wanna tell you not to do it, but don't listen. This is a little bit of that fighting instinct. You're gonna have to do the flip if you really wanna do it. And you've done all the preps and you've done all the drills, it's gonna come down to you just getting over it. And there's really no way to ease into it. At some point, you really just gotta go for it. We're gonna be doing community videos. Feel free to send us your backflip to our Instagram page, which is @thecollectivemovements, and we will review it. We're happy to help, and we'll give you tips on what we think you should be doing to fix your backflip. All right, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. If you enjoyed it and you got some value out of it, please give us some feedback. We'll be doing tutorials every Saturday. Make sure you turn on that bell notification so you don't miss any future videos.